dong, the witch is gone because I can't say the other word. And quite frankly, I really wouldn't want to say the other word, right? That's going way too far. And I wish that on no one, regardless to how evil or hateful that they are. And furthermore, I don't know if I should get that excited anyway. I know I got excited in my last video because I thought she was gone for good. But at the same time, I feel like I was just reminded in my mind that didn't we see a clip like for the upcoming previews where Gretchen's gonna get emotional going at Tamara, and I think Tamara's like sitting in the van around a few of the other ladies, or am I making that up? I don't know. I'll probably need to go back and check that out. But y'all, let me just say, this season just keeps getting gooder and gooder. And I know gooder is not a word, but at my party it is. Okay. And furthermore, y'all, the $1 billion question is who y'all got y'all money on? Okay. Who's the real liar at the end of the day? Is it Katie or is it Tamara? Is it Tamara or is it Katie? Captain Evil or Katie? Katie or Captain Evil? You just let me know, okay? Because y'all know I've got my thoughts on that, okay? And you probably already know who and what it is, but we're going to get into all of that. Before we do, though, let me just add Shannon, oh, Shannon Storms Bador. Girl, the way you got on my last nerve this episode, and you know I go up for you. Always have, for the most part. Okay. Always have through your imperfections and all. But girl, you were pushing it for me, but we're going to do it. We're going to get into it. Okay, y'all? So, what is going on? It is your girl, Taina B here. Welcome to my chat party. If you're here to join me for a little bit, a lot of it, showing up to my party fashionably early, fashionably late. I just appreciate you all so much for joining me just to hear my little thoughts, my little views, my little opinions on the Real Housewives of Orange County, season 19, episode number 6. Okay, they was staying up in that thing, y'all. I cannot wait to get into it. I've got a whole lot to say. For those of you, I know, and I saw my guest list go up. I have to check it again. I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't think about it because I literally just got back from vacation and went straight into watching the episode and taking my notes so I could come talk to y'all. So I'm going to try my best to remember to shout out if I even did it right the last time, the last couple of people I saw subscribe, because I appreciate you guys so much for allowing that guest list to guest list. Okay. Thank you so much for joining the party. I hope you will enjoy it here. For those of you who will hit the like button, who will do your two-step on the dance floor with the comments, who will just come by just to view the party, I appreciate you so much. And I just hope that this party keeps growing and growing and growing. Most often, I'm just a party. I like little small intimate things, but this is an exception. Okay. Let's let the party grow and get bigger because, again, eventually I want to be able to go live and see your faces, right? But y'all are like, okay, girl, okay, hurry up, let's get into it. So let's go ahead and get into it, all right? So we go ahead and start the episode off with the lady still in NOLA, and we have two separate groups who are traveling to separate destinations. So I'm like, is it just me or in the car that Shannon is riding in with Tamra? And I forget who else was with her. I think it might have been Emily. It looked like Shannon seemed a little annoyed and turned off by the conversation that was being had with her and Tamara. And I think it was more so too because she was stuck in there with Tamara. But then we see when she was all up in Tamara's bed sheets and in between bed sheets when Emily had asked when the last time she got some and all this other stuff. And Tamara's like, oh, was it John Jansen? And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't even ask. You know why? Because your privileges have been revoked for asking anything as it relates to John Jansen, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm speaking up for Shannon on this because you were the main one siding with John Jansen the last season and his woman, the ops. Okay. So what makes you think you should be asking anything on any level when it comes to that man? Okay, girl. Okay. And we also see a quick flashback of Shannon kind of going at Katie in the room before they all, hop in the car and go off to their location, saying how she wasn't going if Katie was going because she just didn't want to be anywhere around her. And so Katie says in her confessional, you've been around Alexis, who was suing you with her boyfriend for $75,000, and I can't eat a goddamn beignet with you. And I'm like, no, ma'am, you can't. Okay. You may not, because the huge difference is that you and Shannon were friends, or at least working your way to building some type of friendship. And Shannon was showing you love and support, as we saw even at the beginning of this season, or at least the past couple of episodes. And doing what a friend would, then you decide that you want to go to her arch nemesis, the same one who you just said was suing her for $75,000 to share a damning recording about her that you knew Alexis and her man would eat right on up, and was against, and that they would use against Shannon any opportunity they would have, right? Because that's what they do. They were looking like a dog with a bone, right? Looking for their treat, like, what else you got? What else you got? Like, this is something that they thirsted off of. And we saw that last season. Anything you could give would help them greatly and they would appreciate it. Okay. And so it's like, these are the same people also who made her life a living hell and felt good about themselves while they were doing it. And the same woman, Alexis, that is, who knew John Jensen for all of 2 days and decided to start defending him against Shannon like she had been with him or even known him for 10 years. But will most likely be telling the story one day about how John Jensen played her as well. So, again, I say, when you put all that together, no, you may not go and have beignets with Shannon, okay? Let's move on. Blame yourself for that. On a ride or the trolley ride with the other group of ladies, Heather's still pushing the narrative for Tamara that she's going through so much, and asked Gretchen if she heard that Tamara wanted to talk to her. And Gretchen says no. But in her confessional, she says, God wants us to forgive. So she's like kind of considering the conversation in this moment. And I'm like, yeah, Gretchen, you're right. Surely God does want us to forgive, but He doesn't require us to forget and keep rolling with the same people or giving people who we know beyond a shadow of a doubt chances who we know mean us no good. And Tamara's the perfect example of someone we forgive, we pray for, and we leave her right where she's at while she continues to do the hateful things that she does. Okay. So this does not apply, but do what you got to do. And I thought you knew better in this moment, Gretchen. And I still feel like you did, even here. You showed me a little later that you were okay. And I know you was gonna be all right, but I'm like, okay, let's not start talking crazy because you're making me a little nervous, okay? But at the same time, I'm like, that's your business. Because you're even seeing how Tamara has started off the season shading you and whatever else and getting into her stuff with other people to the point where you just want to ignore that and think you should give her a pass to even have a conversation. Like, there would be nothing for us to say. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I got to be fair about this because you're still probably having the potential conversation with her to keep us entertained. And also because you've been gone for a while and you want to show us you're still relevant. So, okay, girl, I'll give you that. And so now we show them at Cafe Du Monde, which, if you don't know, apparently it is just a popular tourist attraction to get your authentic beignets, which is a staple or one of, I'm sure, many staples, but definitely a staple of New Orleans um, food. What's the word that I wanted to look for? I wanted to look for a classy way to put it, but it didn't come to me soon enough, you guys. I don't know, man, but just a way to indulge in the goodness of just kind of all the delicacies that they have there. And this is where Tamara eventually arrives and she shares, with the ladies that she's sitting with, how she was just there 4 weeks ago with Teddy and Bronwyn, which I think that was Bronwyn from prior seasons, but anyways, and how shortly once they got back, they learned that Teddy had cancer. Again, super unfortunate situation. And I had it wrong in my mind because I'm thinking she had a total of 4 tumors. I thought two of them were on her brain and the other two were on her lungs. But the crazier thing is that apparently four is on her brain and two are on her lungs. So that's a total of six, which is just insane. And again, all we can do is just pray and just wish the best for her for sure. I don't know if you guys have had any updates. If you're able to hop on the dance floor and share if you've heard anything, definitely let me know. But Katie catches up with the other ladies and shares how Shannon didn't want to be around her. Okay. And to Jen's point, which is I was already thinking, and I think Jen said this in her confessional. Jen is like, okay, Shannon, like, you can coexist with Tamra, but you can't coexist with Katie. And I'm like, exactly. Great point. So Emily now does what she does best, which is get on my nerve at some point during the season, each and every season, by being messy because now her, Shannon, and Tamara are sitting together. And Emily decides she wants to bring up in front of Tamara to Shannon the fact that she had the conversation with Jen, where Jen told her that that Shannon was like, don't fold on me or don't flop on me or whatever the word was don't roll on me when it comes to Tamara, like pretty much don't jump ship. We're on this hate train together against Tamara. And Tamara's like, oh, well, did you say that? And I don't know that Shannon said she said it directly, but she impliedly stated and just was mentioning how, in the prior year, it was just a lot for her and hard, what she dealt with Tamara. And is a year that she won't forget. And so Tamara claims to understand how Shannon feels. And I'm like, oh, how convenient. Now, when you need people, now you can understand. But all this time, because this ain't the first time Shannon has expressed these type of feelings to you. Any other time, you didn't give a damn. But now, when you need a friend, when you want to phone a friend, now you understand. I was like, okay. And she says she looked at herself last year and she didn't like it. And I'm like, you only looked at yourself last year? Girl, you got a whole Rolodex. You've got a whole archive of things you need to look back on with how you acted, okay? So just only the year. And she mentioned with her alcohol and drinking and all this other stuff that it's not what she wanted to be doing or where she wanted to be or whatever it was that she said. And it reminded me of how even more absurd Tamara was to have that problem with alcohol, not because she's human and because it happens, but because, again, she chastised Shannon so when Shannon was going through it. And Shannon was like one of the worst drunks in the world. You ain't never seen one till you seen Shannon, and just went in on her. We saw it. Y'all saw it. You know what I mean? Calling her a drunk every chance she got. But again, you casually mention it like, oh, it's just another day in the life, but it all happens to the best of us. Girl, go sit down somewhere. And then from there, she's trying to weasel her way back into Shannon's life and good graces. I'm like, Shannon, abort mission. Meh, 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 meh. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't trust it. Don't trust her. And Shannon's content with coexisting, and I hope she stays in that space with Tamara. But my question is, Tamara, weren't you complaining about how draining Shannon was throughout your friendship? Because I know we heard that before, and y'all correct me again if I'm wrong. And how she used to call you all the time drunk, and how she used to always call you complaining, and how she was just so miserable in her life. And you would sit on the phone with her for hours and you didn't want to hear about it. And you would tell Eddie, and Eddie would be like, don't answer the phone for her, and all this stuff, all these things, and she doesn't know how to manage her money well, and you're telling all her business about this and that. Why again do you want her in your life? Why do you want that back in your life? Okay. And okay. So Jen's with Katie and Gretchen to the side at the market, and Jen says she wants to see and plans to bring up that fatty photo that Tamara had been pretty much sharing around or talking about. And Tamara needs to, she said, also take, because she said, you know what, this is what she said, and I love what she says. As a matter of fact, she said, you know what, I wasn't thinking about how I looked at that time. I was too busy taking care of my family, making sure things were straight. And we can tend to do that as women, right? You're always pouring into everybody else that sometimes you forget about your own self, or sometimes, you neglect yourself for other people. That can definitely be a thing, right? And that's where she's at with it. So selflessly, she was doing that. As she said, so I didn't care about how I looked. And as a matter of fact, Tamara needs to take a page out of my book and learn how to take care of her family. And I was like, okay, well, mm, there's that mic drop. Okay. DJ hit that horn. Okay. Because that was a mic drop. I said, come on, Jen. You know, I love when you get activated, Jen. Okay. You know, you get me excited, right? You know, you get my bones going and my adrenaline start to rush while I'm sitting there in my seat. I said, go ahead and get warmed up so you can take off when you finally bring up that photo. All right. And so I said, not Jen saying she needs an exorcism, that Tamara probably needs an exorcism. And then in that same moment, not Tamara with the other ladies talking about they should go into the church across the way. I'm like, girl, you sure you want to do that? Okay. Will the church still remain standing? Okay, it will, right? God welcomes all sinners. Anyway, so the ladies attend the Rescue Dog Festival. Shout out to the dogs. Then they go see the Udu Queen at a V in front of it. I don't know if I could say it or not. Her name is Bloody Mary. They definitely would have been going without me. And that to me is the last place that someone like Tamara should be. I was like, okay, but shout out to Gretchen leading the charge on leaving because that just wasn't her thing. Wouldn't be my thing either. And sometimes, y'all, you don't know. Listen, spirits are transferable. We don't play with that kind of stuff because you don't know what you could be bringing back home with you. That's a real thing. So I'm like, even for the ladies that stayed, I had some reservations. I'm like, I don't know what's going to jump on y'all, or if it could, don't want to chance it. And I don't want to be around that. But that's just the way I think, right? Maybe too much, but that's just what it is. And so while Gretchen walks off with Shannon and Tamara, who decided they didn't want to be a part of it either. The other ladies decide to stay behind and make the Udu dolls. And I'm like, yikes. So now while Shannon, Gretchen, and Tamara are sitting there, they, decide to have a conversation. And it comes up that oh gosh, I know it was something before the situation that involved a substance, that Tamara said that, she was told that Gretchen had said. But something before that, y'all, I can't remember it or how it came up. So I'll just go ahead and hop into that. And so that's the main topic of conversation for the episode. Apparently, Tamara presents to Gretchen that Katie had told her, which is Tamara, that Gretchen advised Katie that years ago, Tamara had her under some type of influence of a substance against her will or illegally, let's just say. And so now, you know, Shannon's all taken aback and Gretchen's like, "What?" You know what I mean? And you can tell that Gretchen is like, "Huh?" Like this is a first. And to Gretchen's point also, she was like, "Listen." And Tamara's like, I don't know if that was true. Gretchen's like, if that was true, I would have been said something. And we all know that too. Listen, Tamara and Gretchen did not, still technically do not see it for each other. You think that wouldn't have come out by now after all of this time? Like, that's the first thing where I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then again, it's coming from Tamara. In that moment, that's another weird thing, right? And so Shannon's now asking Gretchen, like, are you sure you want to be friends with her? Like someone who records, that's illegal. And, they get into the whole Kiki Monique of it all because that's the one who apparently Katie had reported it to and yada, yada, yada. And so, like I said, Gretchen's all shell shocked and all the things. And I was on the same page, like I said, with Gretchen when she said she had to consider the source from where this information was coming from, which was Tamara. And that's one thing my mother has always taught me. Look at the source from where something is coming from. Like, I used to always get so upset sometimes about things certain people would say. And my mom would be like, you need to look at the source where this information is coming from. And that is so true. That Gretchen still nonetheless is visibly upset because she's just like, no, I didn't say this, right? And you can tell that she didn't. She's definitely believable in this moment. So I'm like, great. Now we got Katie still remaining on the chopping block for now. So we know Gretchen is a smart cookie though, because in that moment too, while she's all nice and vulnerable, which is where someone evil like Tamara likes to creep right on in, Tamara starts trying to manipulate her by talking about how she's so cute and so pretty and she's a mom now, and she just wants to move forward with her and all the wonderful flowery beautiful sugary things. She wants to just move forward. But Gretchen's hip to the fact that this is what Tamara does. Okay, she acts like change is really an option. Well, we know at the end of the day it's not. Don't believe the hype, Gretchen. But again, I already know you got this covered. Sidebar. So now we have the ladies who are starting to get ready for dinner. And Tamara says something about the track in her hair, which I thought I saw her track when she went to Gina's housewarming, when she was sitting on the edge of Gina's arm of her couch, I think it was. Was it then? No, 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 not the housewarming. I'm sorry. When she went to the house showing that Gina was hosting. But anyways, I was sitting there like, is that her track showing? But I'm like, no, maybe it's her hair. Okay, let me stop looking too hard. But then she called me a single black female trying to emulate her, and I want to use those same tracks in her hair. I ain't got time for all of that. But anyway, so Tamara goes to Shannon's room again, as they're now preparing to go to dinner. And I'm like, deja vu all over again, because here goes Tamara talking about, oh, I'm like, if I hear you say you're nervous again, because in this moment now she's nervous like she was the prior night about being around the ladies. But in this instance, I guess it's addressing the ladies about the news she had just disclosed to Gretchen. And so before all the ladies get to dinner, in the car, Tamara's telling Emily and Gina and Heather what's about to go down, while simultaneously we have Gretchen in her room telling Jen about the Katie and Gretchen sitch, right? She's filling her in. And I definitely peeped Gina's confessional when she said, although she doesn't 100% trust Katie, which I get it, right? I think that's reasonable. She thinks Tamara is an all opportunity kind of girl. And I said, girl, come on and take it to church and speak it, tell it like it is, because she is. And so I'm glad Gina said she wanted to hear Katie's side of the story and then just run with Tamara's side. Because I'm like, again, it's Tamara at the end of the day. Like, come on. And so now Katie comes to Gretchen's room, and I'm glad she did because I wanted Katie to have a heads up to what she was walking into for the dinner, because I just didn't believe in that moment that she said that, y'all. So at the end of the day, going back to my initial question, I'm obviously standing with Katie on this one until I see something otherwise. I would be super and uberly surprised if I was wrong. You guys can hit the dance floor and let me think who and what you think it is. And this has nothing to do with the fact that I cannot stand Tamara, but has everything to do with Tamara's history and the type of person that she is. And we've definitely caught her in lies on multiple occasions. Whereas I feel like with Katie, Katie has been more forthcoming with the things that she's done. She's had to confess to it. Well, not had to, she's confessed to it and she's been honest, right? She's owned it. She's had to take accountability for the wrong that she's done. And you can only respect people for that. Now, how you decide to move with them after that is on you, but at least they're giving you that option to say, hey, this is who I am. I did this. I messed up, whatever. And even Katie, we see, is trying to do better, right? She's more believable in her doing better. Is Tamara? Absolutely the hell not. And so, anyways, Gretchen discloses what, no, actually, is it this moment? I think that Katie comes to the room. So rewind, sorry. So Katie now comes to, oh yeah, I already said that. Sorry, y'all. And so um I said to once, so once it's brought to Katie's attention, Katie immediately is like, what? I didn't say that. And again, I believed her in that moment. And she said in her confessional that now it's starting to all make sense because when they were at the Quiet Woman, her and Tamara, however far back, Tamara had presented that there was some information that she knew something bad that Katie had done, which I think is so silly. If you're going to come to me accusing me of doing something, just tell me what the heck it is. At the end of the day, I am the source. I am the one who can answer your question, potentially, if I'm going to be honest or not, to what you're wondering or what you claim is swimming around about me. It's me. Let me know what's going on about me and I'll let you know what it is. So I thought that was so silly. And then it was a fact for me too. We show Heather also in a flashback sitting up there, saying, oh, to Katie again, well, we heard that you reported bad things on us to Kiki Monique. And we know how Heather, as I mentioned, has been rocking so hard with Tamara at the end of the day for whatever the reason. And so it would just make sense that Heather and Tamara would team up with Katie for the BS, especially Heather, since she seemed to have a vendetta, I feel like, against Katie since last season, mainly starting with the whole paparazzi nonsense that was so lame to me at the end of the day. And not to mention, we just saw Heather lie a few scenes ago on Tamara's behalf and in Tamara's defense when they were on the trolley and Jen mentioned it to Heather about the whole single white female. Heather's like, oh, she didn't say that to me. Meanwhile, we see a flashback of Heather and Tamara together, and Tamara's telling Heather that Jen's a single white female. So I'm like, girl, I ain't got time for it, okay? And they just don't like Katie. They didn't. We saw how they ate Katie up at the last reunion, and it was so unfair to me. But anyways, I just have so much respect, I will say though, for Gretchen in this moment again, with just how level-headed she is, because she's saying a lot of things that make sense, and Gretchen's just no fool, right? You can't fool her. And so now Gretchen, Katie, and Jen are riding together to dinner. The ladies have already arrived there. And it's in this moment that I realized that Jen and Gretchen should be the 2025 dynamic duo to come for Tamara. Okay. I don't know if y'all agree or not, but I'm just saying because I feel like they would put her to sleep with that TKO energy. Okay. They got brains and bars for days. Okay. They're too quick with their thinking on their feet, and then they know how to spit that venom. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even be mind if Katie would be mixed up in there a little bit. She got a little something in there. She just needs a little bit more work, and maybe being around them would help her out. But definitely all day for me, Gretchen and Jen, I'm team them all day. If we really want to talk about alliances up in this, okay? And nevertheless, Katie's expressing she's pissed off in the car, and they finally arrive to the other ladies awaiting again. And I loved how Katie took a seat right next to Tamara. I don't know if that was planned or not. Meanwhile, I would have been so far away from her, but I just love the strategy of it all, if that was the case, like I said, because she needs to be sitting next to the person that she sat up there and potentially lied on. Okay. I need you to look me right in my face right here. Okay. We eye to eye, skin to skin almost, damn near. So um from there, they're not even sitting down for 5 minutes. We have Tamara decides that she wants to call Gretchen to the side, and she asks Gretchen if she wants her to bring up the situation or not for the night. And she also asked Gretchen, if she spoke to Katie about it. And I'm thinking, oh, why are you so concerned? Why are you asking those questions? Don't worry about it. You should be ready, right? You should be ready. You started the mess, so you should have planned all avenues and been 10 steps ahead of the game. You don't need to ask any of these questions. You just need to react on whatever they give you. And so Gretchen says yes. They kind of go back and forth. And I don't know if it's in this moment or was it after Katie arrived, but I know at some point Tamara ends up asking Gretchen if she believes Katie. And Gretchen's pretty much like, yeah, right? Some point Katie walks over. I'm glad she did, as she should have, so she can defend herself. And Tamara looks guilty to me. She's standing there looking crazy as Katie's talking. It's all in her face, in my opinion. Then she's getting all defensive. And then I think this is when she walks off when Gretchen says she believes Katie. She's like, whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, girl, it's written all over your face. Mm-mm. You don't have to say a word. If y'all know, you know. Because I'm like, girl, you're not doing this right, Tamara. If you want to be believed, you got to play it cool, and you're not. Anyways, another question for Tamara. I said, because she's like, oh, well, because she goes to the ladies. Well, Gretchen believes that Katie's telling the truth. I would have been like, okay. I mean, some of the ladies like, what? What? I'm like, are y'all shocked again? I say, this is Tamra. And then I'm like, she's like, oh, well, Gretchen was on my side earlier. And I said, Tamara, was it really Gretchen being on your side earlier when you first presented the information to her? Or was it Gretchen being in her feelings and surprised that this is something that was being thrown around about her that just wasn't true? There's a difference in that. Was Gretchen in disbelief, if anything? Yeah. Okay. Was Gretchen a little confused? Possibly questioning some things in that moment? Yeah. But where did you get she was on your side with things? Like, girl, I said, this is crazy. Okay. And here we go with Shannon. Here we go with Shannon, y'all. Now Shannon was getting on my nerves a little earlier when Tamara, Gretchen, and her were talking, and she's doing the whole illegal, what's legal, and Gretchen called her out like, girl, well, at the end of the day, while you talking about crimes and what's not legal, it wasn't legal. You catching that DUI. I said, well, again, okay, Gretchen. And where are the lies told? But it's like really in this moment because now Katie's coming back to the table, and Shannon, you're going off in this moment because why? This situation has nothing to do with you. Now, obviously, we know why, right? Because you're going off your raw emotion for the fact that you're just still so pissed that Katie did what she did against you. And rightfully so. That is understandable. You have every right to be mad about that. Stay mad all you want if that's what you want to do, right? if you want your energy and your peace sucked away still in that moment. Okay, because nobody said don't be mad, but it's like, again, how long? Now it's still technically fresh, fine, no problem. But at the same time, how long you gonna let somebody steal your joy like that before you're like, okay, you know what? Forget this. I just won't say nothing to her, and that's that. But this has nothing to do with you. Like I said, this is not, you don't have a dog in this fight right now in this moment. You know what I mean? I'm just like, and the thing is too, you want somebody on your side so bad. You want to, you want everyone mad at Katie because you're mad at Katie. And it just doesn't go like that, Shannon. You know what I'm saying? You have, again, every right to be upset with her yourself, but don't drag everybody else into that. So I was like, okay, and her getting all loud, and you're a liar and you're the leak. I'm like, Shannon, relax, okay? Just get up, go take a walk, come back and sit down, okay? Have a glass of water and calm your nerves. And sidebar also, I'll say, as Shannon's going off on Katie about her being a liar and a leak and whatnot, Tamara is sitting there. I don't know if y'all peeped it, but she has the most conniving, deceptive smirk on her face. And I'm like, ew. Oh, it was so gross. If y'all didn't see it, go back to when Shannon's going off and pause it if you can. It's definitely there. And it's definitely one I've seen from her multiple times before. So it's nothing new, just an observation. But I'm just saying, I'm like, girl, again, it's just for me the signs that I would believe you because why? And I think I low key also love how Tamara thought she had reeled Gretchen right on in, right? Earlier with the sweet nothings that she was whispering in her ear, but learned at this dinner table that it didn't work. Because Gretchen is making too much sense by expressing the fact that she knows how Tamara gets down too well to fall for what she's saying about this Katie mess. And she's telling Tamara that straight to her face. Like, you've put me through so much stuff. All the stuff you said about me, I'm not just going to believe you over someone who hasn't done anything to me. Exactly. Okay, girl. Sometimes things are just really basic common sense. You ain't even got to think too hard, which is what I love about life in certain moments, right? With certain equations, certain problems, certain situations. This is definitely one of them. And let me get this straight. When Jen asked if Tamara had spoken to Katie about the whole, putting the substance, you know, in Gretchen, whatever, Gretchen having this substance within her, Tamara, you said no, right? That you didn't speak to Katie about it because you didn't want to make it a thing. So asking Gretchen instead, right? So not going to the actual source who said it, potentially, but asking Gretchen instead wouldn't have made it a thing like the thing it's now turned into. You make no sense. Play the mind games with someone else, okay? Play the mind games with the people in the back that's not really paying attention. And so my girl Jen is charged and ready to go, right? So she was like, you know what? Well, while we're at it, what about this picture? I want to see the picture. Tim was like, what picture? I'm like, oh, here we go, girl. Now you want to play all coy, like you don't know what the heck is going on. Girl, stop. And she's like, um, like she loves how she said, or she's saying how you've heard everybody at this table as well. Because remember, just a few minutes ago, we have Shannon sitting there talking about how Katie has hurt everyone at the table. No, Shannon, girl, no one, though, however, has hurt you, in my opinion, as strongly and as deeply and as many times as Tamara have. But if you want to continue to go off, you go off. So Jen asked Tamara if she was on some type of meds or something, and she said a particular med. Again, I don't know if I can say it or not, and it seemed that way to me because her eyes were giving sleepy time, y'all. And I'm sure y'all peeped that. And then even as I'm sitting there looking there, at her, I'm like, what in the world is going on with her? What is she on? Sure enough, because they go back and forth, we have Gina who comes through with the confirmation, and she tells Tamara to her face, like, girl, you're being rude, because Tamara with the back and forth, not just calling people bees and this, that, and up and whatever, being her usual Tamara self, like Jen said. I peeped when Jen was like, oh, there she goes, and here she goes, she's shown up, or whatever she said. And Gina tells Tamara that she's totally sloshed and not thinking right. She's not in her right mind. And Jen tells her pretty much the same thing. And Shannon brings up in her confessional how just 5 hours ago, old girl was saying she was never drinking again. And even when I saw that, I didn't believe her. I'm like, now I know Shannon, you ain't believe that when she said it. But what I will say, and granted, even though I knew that was a lie, that the lie detector determined that was a lie, I still didn't expect her to be drinking this soon. I'm like, girl, it hasn't even been 24 hours. It hasn't even been 2 days. At least give it a week. Sheesh, right? I didn't know she'd be drinking this soon, but she was. And again, it just brings me to the flashbacks, which I know the ladies brought up, where you could call Shannon a drunk all the day long, but it what do we call you in this moment? Like, you literally have taken what appears allegedly to be some medication, mixed them with the drink that you had, that you told Shannon was just water, even though it was yellow in color and substance. Girl, okay. And anyway, so she gets up from the table and leaves. Production asks her if she's okay. She's getting emotional. Oh, I just want to go home. We have her BFF Heather, who goes to check for her. She's getting kind of smart with Heather, and then starts walking down the stairs, and she's sitting at the table by herself now, talking about, she doesn't feel loved and not wanted. And I'm like, girl, but how many times have you made people feel the same way? I'll wait. I'll wait. I don't think my party people are trying to wait. And for that reason, I'm going to keep going. But I mean, really, like, that's what we're doing. And at the end of the day, it's called what goes around comes around. But okay, child. And so Tamra apparently ends up, now she's in her car, rolling wherever she's rolling. I guess she's asking about an airport so she can get back home. So while she's in the car riding, she texts Gina to F off, but she's changed, right? But you changed, right, Tamara? And she tells Gina that she crossed the line. No, she didn't. Gina called the thing a thing. Gina told the truth. Gina told you what it was, and there was nothing rude about it. You just didn't like that she called you out on your mess. You just didn't like that you were in the hot seat. You just didn't like that your plan did not go according to plan. Your plan failed, and you had no choice but to run off. Instead of standing like a G and maybe even trying to flip that thing or change the subject or something, girl, you couldn't deal with the smoke that was coming your way. Again, welcome to you being you. Welcome to feeling what it feels like to be you and put other people in the hot seat and make them feel like trash. Welcome to that. Okay. And apparently, also, they discover shortly thereafter that she made a post on IG saying she's out. She's done with the reality stuff. I was like, okay, well, bye. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Okay? Bye. Peace out. Arrivederci. Hasta luego. Peace. Okay? And you'll be missed by who? Except for other people that are on demon time like you are. Child, okay. And I hope you really don't return. And the little clip that I'm thinking about that you do return, I hope you were just coming to pick up some stuff or something and still leaving. I don't know. Anyways, I just think that was all part again of her plan. And Jen, I feel like, wrapped things up and summed it up beautifully in her confessional when she pretty much was saying the same thing, for lack of better words. Like, this is what Tamara does. She comes with the mess, she drops the bomb, leaves the bomb in somebody else's hand, lights the match and walk away kind of situation. And those weren't the exact words, but pretty much what she said. And I'm like, exactly. Again, you can't fool people, Tamara, that are hip to what you do and hip to games. So you needed to come with something else, or you shouldn't have come with anything at all. You really should have stuck with, if this is what you were going to do, like I've said before, this narrative of you being this changed person, you really should have practiced really hard in the mirror to make that look like a real thing and just stuck with that storyline. Maybe you should have been the one trying to bring the people together instead of continuing to be who and what you really are, which is the evil villain in the story. And you tried to flip that thing on Katie, and it did not work. So I am so curious to see where this is going to go now, y'all. I could be completely wrong, right? I might be coming back to y'all like, oh me, oh my, oh Katie, goodbye. Like, girl, you you played me. I thought you were on the up and up and telling the truth. I could, but there's a strong possibility that won't be happening. So we'll see. Y'all definitely let me know what you think, because the music is on, the dance floor is lit. Don't be no prude and hold up the wall. Get your two-step on. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Who are y'all pulling for? Who do you think is telling the truth? Do you still have some reservations as it relates to Katie in this? Gretchen, I didn't even ask about Gretchen. Do you think Gretchen really said it or didn't say it at the end of the day? Is she the one who's going to end up being on the chopping block? What do y'all think about Shannon going off like she did with all her emotion when she should have been somewhere piping down. Okay. Anyways, y'all, so much to say, so much, so many thoughts still, but I just don't have enough time, y'all. I'll keep y'all here for hours if I went really further into what I was thinking and feeling on this thing. Oh my gosh, it would never end, but it's still a no for me with Tamara, regardless to what she's going through. I am so sorry. I just don't feel it because I've just watched her for too long not be a believable person. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that I don't have a heart for people who do things that aren't great, right? Because I do that. We all do things that we shouldn't do or have done things that we shouldn't have, done, but it's still the point and the principle of learning to do better. As long as you get up and try to do better, truly and honestly, that's what matters the most. And this lady is just, it seems like it's just not in her DNA to do. Okay, but we already know these things. I'm not going to backtrack. All right, I hope that this video found you guys in good spirits, and if it didn't, I hope that I said a little something that put a smile on your face or made your day in some way, shape, or form. I am sending you all social hugs and squeezing real tight, like them good hugs from the bottom of my heart. Y'all know I will be back next week to do this all over again with you guys. So until then, y'all know what to do. Y'all stay up, y'all stay blessed, and I'm out. Peace.